What is up, RPG fans? In this video, we will be ranking all of the playable characters in Dragon Quest IV Chapters of the Chosen. The DS/mobile version is going to be what I'm talking about today. And in this video, I'll be ranking all the temporary characters as well. I'm going to go through those quicker, and I'm going to go through those first in order of when you get them, and then I'll go through the main characters because, you know, that's more interesting. Also, spoilers for the game. There's a couple characters that are a little more interesting that you get that might not be, if you haven't beaten the game, you might be like, oh frick, that's an interesting character to unlock. So please either know that there will be a couple of spoilers or watch this after you beat the game. So yeah, or I guess get to chapter 6. At least get to chapter 6 first. So all right, let's get into this. So the first character we're going to talk about is Healie, who joins you in chapter 1 as part of Ragnar's chapter. And Healie is one of the most important and helpful temporary characters in the game because Ragnar himself cannot heal outside of using items, and he is a pretty helpful character. You actually don't need to get him in your party, but he is very helpful to have in the party. He's basically a heal bot, and without it, you're going to have to do some big grinding with Ragnar to be able to survive attacks and stuff. So in this very vast array of tiers, I'm going to put Healie in the C tier. So basically the idea is F- tier, they're basically worthless. There's no point of using them. F tier, I wouldn't say they're worthless, but they're just outclassed by the other characters. E tier is, they have a little bit of use, but they're just not really worth putting in the part. Like F is more like, yeah, there's no reason to put them in over any of the other characters you have in your party, whereas E is like, you might swap them in from time to time. D is like, they're decent, but they aren't really, they're just good. Like, you can obviously get through the game just using them, but you don't need them really. And C is going to be the top for temporary characters. That's where you're like, okay, that's the best of the best for the temporary characters. So yeah, anyway, let's move into the next character, which in chapter 2, you have no temporary characters. So in chapter 3, Torneko can recruit 2. Torneko Taloon can recruit 2 different, oh my gosh, Microsoft Teams. Torneko Taloon can recruit either Laurel or Hardie, which are these two characters. And Laurel is definitely the more helpful of the two. She's still a D tier character, I think, because by that point in the chapter, Torneko is more than powerful. The enemies in his chapter are really weak. Or I like calling him Taloon better, so we'll call him Taloon. But Taloon is, yeah, at that point in the chapter, Taloon's powerful enough that he can really deal with stuff on his own, and he doesn't really need someone necessarily. And they're just a temporary recruit, and you have to pay money every time you want to recruit her, so, or him, or I don't even know. So, yeah, really, I think that Laurel is decent, but not all that good. And then E tier is going to be Hardie, who's the attacking recruit. He is nice, again, because Taloon is just himself. Like, he is one party member, and you don't really want just one party member in your party. But again, Taloon is more than powerful enough on his own. In that chapter, not usually, but in his chapter, the enemies are weak. So therefore, we don't really need Hardie, and he's a pretty useless character. All right, Oojam is going to go top of C tier. Best of the best, because when you have Maya and Meena in chapter 4, it's just really rough to not have like a tank or physical fighter, and it makes that chapter a little bit more grindy than the others, and it's just kind of rough. But once Oojam joins the party, you have that extra attack, you have that extra strength, that extra tank. Of course, if you just level up a few levels, Oojam is really not all that necessary, but he's really helpful to have in the party, and I have no complaints. Like, he just really is a worthy party member. All right, so let's move on to the next character, which is going to be Foolery. Actually, no, Foolery you get after Hank Hoffman. So first is Hank Hoffman Jr., and he's actually in your party for a decent amount of time in chapter 5. He joins you for like 2 or 3 dungeons, and he's the owner of the wagon that you get. And then he eventually goes on to start up a town that you can help him build up from the ground. And in the end, he's really not all that great. I'm going to put him here. He's a decent attacker. He's a solid character, but really at that point, the reason he's better than actually, I'm going to move him up one. The reason he's better than Laurel probably and Hardie is because by this point in chapter 5, you only have the hero, Maya, and Meena. So you have those three, and then you get Hoffman, and he fills out that fourth party slot pretty well for a while. Like 2 dungeons, not really a while, but for long enough that he makes more of an impact, especially since you don't have to pay for him. So yeah, that makes Hank Hoffman Jr. not too bad. Then Tom Foolery, easily the worst character in the game. Absolutely worthless. He's a worse Taloon, which Taloon's already a pretty bad character. And at least permanent party member wise. And Tom Foolery you have for about 10 seconds because you can get him and then zoom to where you need to go and you never even have to use him in battle. He's literally worthless. He did not need to be playable. I mean, it's fun. I guess it's nice. More playable characters, the better. But yeah, Tom Foolery, not really a good party member at all. All right, next is going to be Orifelia, who I'm going to put in the F tier. Okay, here's the thing about Orifelia. You get her at a point in the game where you have all your party members, all your permanent party members, except for the one you get in Chapter 6. And really, she's just a heal bot. But guess who's also a heal bot? Any of your healers with a happy hat. Or any of the other things that restore MP as you walk. You really don't need Orifelia. I mean, she's not awful. She's not an F-, but I still can't even say she's as useful as like Hardie, who fills out an extra party slot, or Laurel, who fills out an extra party slot, or Hank Hoffman Jr., who fills out an extra party slot. So even, like, I just don't recommend her putting her in the party. She's decent for the dungeon you have to have her, the World Tree, where you put in 3 party members, and then you get Orifelia in your party as the 4th just for that one dungeon. But in the end, she's pretty weak and not all that necessary. And then Sparkie is going to make it in the F- tier. Whereas Orifelia is a good heal bot. Sparkie is just not great. He's AI controlled no matter what. So that's already a pretty bad sign. And he's just not a very powerful... I mean, it's fun that we do get a monster character in this game. And technically, he is temporary because he leaves your party in Chapter 6. But if you're only playing the main story, then he's actually a permanent party member. But Sparkie's just not really worth anything. And honestly, you don't have to have Orifelia leave the party. At least from what I know. At least in the NES version, you don't have to have her leave the party. So, yeah, honestly, if you can, just keep Orifelia in the party and not Sparkie, because her heal botting abilities is better than anything Sparkie can do. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff with the main playable characters. And sorry, I was just grabbing a drink. That's why the audio just got weird for a second. But yeah, we got the main playable characters here. We got all, what is it? 8 of them? 9? 9. And they're all very, very good characters, except for, like 1. So let's get into this. So, starting with Ragnar, which is, of course, the first character you get in the game. I'm not going to count the prologue, because the prologue is pretty unnecessary, to be honest. But starting with Ragnar, Ragnar is a very, very solid character, and I'm going to put him in the A tier. Not the B tier, the A tier. So, Ragnar is the player's token tank in Dragon Quest IV. He has super high health, really high strength, pretty low speed, but a ton of great equipment. But he has no magic or anything, but he's just a really good attacker. He's a good tank. He has a lot of HP, especially a lot of HP. I'd say that's his best asset, is his high HP, his great armor, and his good weapons. And that's what makes Ragnar such a solid character in this game. And really, I mean, yeah, he's just really, really good at doing what he's supposed to do. And yeah, he really just is great at it. And it's not, yeah, he doesn't have magic. He's not ever going to be as good as the hero because of that. But he's a really solid character to bring along. He's hardly going to die if you have the right things on. Even if you put the armor that lowers your defense to 0 on him, sorry, not the armor, the sword, he's still going to have a lot of health. And like that sword is actually really good on him because it, for a while, is like his best option. And really, Ragnar is just a wall of HP. Like he literally has like twice as much HP as all the other characters. And that makes him a very solid choice to have in your party at pretty much any time, honestly. Like he is really good. So yeah. All right, next is going to be Alena, who's shooting right up into the S tier. Alena is the best, just straight up attacker in the game. The thing that sets her apart from Ragnar is like the tank, high HP, high defense, whereas Alena is a really fast attacker, has more strength than Ragnar, actually. She'll do more damage, but she can also equip a lot of things that she can hit Falcon Knife earrings that hit multiple times. And as well as that, she has insane agility and luck, which means that she will hit critical hits more than any other character, like by far. Like almost every attack or every other attack, she's hitting critical hits, which means basically on top of having more strength than Ragnar, she's hitting double damage. And that makes her fantastic. She's a really, really good character. And in the end, Alena is one of the best characters you get in Dragon Quest IV. She's just always going to be doing insane amounts of damage. I will say that Ragnar is a little better when you start out Chapter 5, but the problem is, well, he would be, except by the time you get Ragnar, you get him last. Like, Alena's going to be higher leveled. Ragnar, like, you can go, at that point, you can go get the Falcon Knife earrings. As much as Ragnar's a great tank, lots of HP, still really useful for dishing out damage. In most circumstances, Alena is going to be the better pick unless a boss is hitting really powerful physical attacks, which is very few bosses in this game. So I will almost always take Alena, and except for the final character you get in Chapter 6, she's easily the best way of grinding metal slimes, which actually makes a huge difference because you can kill metal slimes, you can get everyone's experience up and make everyone better. So in that way, Alena is just an amazing character in pretty much every way, and she is absolutely fantastic. All right, next we're moving on to my good man, Borya, who's also going to make it into the S tier. And yes, you heard that right, folks. Borya in the S tier. Oh, this is rough. I think I'm going to put him here, behind Alena, for one very important reason. But Borya is a very interesting character because compared to what's her face, I don't know which sister's which, actually. That's kind of embarrassing. Can't remember. But according to well, I remember their name, Mara, who is the black mage. I'm gonna look up the character to make sure I remember. Oh, sorry, it's Maya in this version. Maya and Meena is what it is. But anyway, Maya, who's our black mage character. Okay, it's this one. Okay, right. My bad. All right. So anyway, but in contrast, Maya is just like a straight up black mage. Like she just gets a bunch of offensive stuff, bunch of good damaging spells, lots of fire abilities, things that turn her into a dragon, huge damage to the whole party. Whereas Borya is kind of just different. He's more focused on, yes, he's a black mage, but he's more of like the buffing, debuffing character of your party. He is a black mage as well as a support mage, and he is going to be doing decent ice damage, but even better, umphing your characters, which is raising their attack, or sapping the enemies, which is lowering their attack. And that is crucial, and Borya is amazing for that. There's one reason I'm not putting him above Alena, and I will explain that in just a couple seconds, probably a couple minutes. But Borya is just fantastic, super good for if you're going to do a more magic-oriented party where you take like the hero and Kiryl and like, I don't know, maybe take Maya and Meena. Like Borel is not Borel. I can't say anything today. Borya is not going to be the best if you're just trying to dish out pure damage. But in terms of it, if you're fighting big groups of enemies, Maya might be the better choice, just black magic, like damage wise. But Borya, with his attack, buffing, and defense lowering abilities, makes him one of the best characters in the game. And pretty much no one is immune to sap. And of course, your party's not going to be immune to attack buffing. So honestly, Borya is one of the best characters in the game, and I'll explain why he's not above Meena. Not Meena. Why am I? Alena in a second. I can't say anybody's names apparently today, so that's a little awkward. Anyway, let's move on to my man, Kiryl, who is going into the S+ tier. Kiryl is insane for multiple reasons. First of all, he's the best healer in the game, by far. In fact, it's kind of stupid how much better he is than Meena. The only reason Meena is better is you get her a little bit earlier in Chapter 5, and she does learn Zing faster, but that's about it. And she has more offensive capabilities in terms of magic. I'll get to that in a second. But really, Kiryl's just by far the better healer in this game. First of all, he has better strength, defense, HP, all of the above. Like, he's going to be a stronger character. Second of all, he gets Kazing. And I think multi-heal. I don't think Meena gets multi-heal. That might be wrong, but I don't think she does. I'm going to look it up really quick so I don't mess with anybody's minds. But yeah, he gets, and it like maybe she doesn't get it, but I mean maybe she does get it. Let's see. No, I was right. Yeah, she does not get multi-heal. So that is just insanely questionable. Whereas Kiryl gets multi-heal. So I'll talk about that in a second. But yes. All right. So anyway, back to Kiryl is going to be just amazing. Like, he has pretty decent physical stats. He gets multi-heal and Kazing, which are two of the best spells in the game, which one heals multiple members of your party, like if you haven't got these yet. And Kazing fully restores someone to full HP, 100% chance. In comparison, you know what? I'm going to put Meena down now. I need to talk about her at the same time for this to make any sense. Meena is going to be a low B tier character because Kiryl has multi-heal. She does not. He has better stats. She obviously doesn't. And Kazing, 100% HP, 100% chance. Zing, 50% chance. There's a couple things that Meena does that Kiryl can't. Wind magic, which is really weak in this game. It's super weak. Like, it just is not worth it. It's not worth having Meena in the party instead. And then there's also her tarot cards, which are too random to be very useful. If you use the silver tarot cards, it's just some of the effects is like casting poof on the enemies, casting a sap, whack, a little bit of health to all allies, lowering accuracy of enemies, cast oomph on a random ally. Really, the only one that's good is doubles the amount of experience and gold received after the battle. But, I mean, I can't say that that's going to make a character better just because of that, because again, it's a random effect. If all those things weren't random effects, maybe we could be talking. Maybe we could say Meena was a better character. But her tarot cards and her wind magic aren't really cutting it. And the last thing is Insulatal, which is only really good for a couple of the harder boss fights. It lowers fire and ice damage to your party. And, you know, I think it's only really good for the Chapter 6 super boss against the Chinese dish named Chow Mein and Fu Young or whatever. Just such an interesting super boss choice. But yeah, in the end, really, Kiryl's just so much better. And on top of that, I totally forgot to mention, he has Thwack, which kills a whole group of enemies. And it works pretty often. Like, we're talking pretty often for like 7 MP. So not only does he have instant killing, multi-healing, oh, and I forgot the most important one. He has Kabuff. If you don't know what Kabuff is, it is the most broken spell in this entire game. Kabuff buffs the defense of the whole party, making him perhaps the best character in the game. Because this buff is that broken. It like doubles your defense basically, and you can use it multiple times. Basically, you can get super bosses dealing 1 physical damage to you. 1 damage. It's insane. And Dragon Quest IV isn't exactly the easiest game ever. I mean, it's not like super hard, but compared to like Dragon Quest V, it's way harder. And Kabuff in this game means the difference between life and death sometimes, and only Kiryl has it. Even with Borya, someone else gets Oomph and Kasap. No one ever gets Kabuff, if I remember correctly. That might be stupid. I'm pretty sure that's true. I don't think anyone else in the game gets Kabuff, and it is the best spell in the game, except maybe Omni Heal, which fully heals the entire party. Because, you know, that can deal with both magic and physical attacking. So Omni Heal is probably the best spell in the game, but Kabuff is a close second. And it's just really, really, really broken. Like, it's insane how broken it is. Okay, looking at the 6th, yep. He's the only character with Kabuff. I've confirmed it. Anyway, Kiryl's just amazing. Absolutely busted. He's insane. Okay. I think I've talked long enough about Kiryl. Taloon is the worst character in the game. I almost wanted to put him above Meena, but I just couldn't do it because the tarot card's an insulatal. But Taloon is actually pretty bad. In the NES version, actually, he's quite a bit better, I feel like. Because people are not, like, the AI, like, it's just all AI anyway, except for your hero. But in this version, he just doesn't listen to your commands, like, ever. Like, sometimes he'll steal something, or he'll throw some things around, but it's really not helpful, and his stats are absolutely abysmal. Like, even Borya has better stats than him, like, in almost every way. Which is so sad, because, first of all, Taloon was pretty strong in his chapter. Second of all, he's my favorite character in the game. Pretty sure. Yeah. Either him or Alena are my favorite characters in the game. Like, well, I guess the villain, but anyway. Favorite good guys, I guess. But really, Taloon is just so bad. I don't want to put him, the only reason I'm not putting him along with the temporary characters in usefulness is because he can steal some really good garbage. But if he couldn't steal, nope, no point of this guy. Like, literally, Ragnar and Alena are just always going to do better damage. Kiryl will do better damage with a sword. And for, like, Taloon is kind of like the, I don't know, the freelancer in FF3. It's like he can equip, like, 4 weapons at the beginning, and he can equip, like, 3 weapons at the end. For, like, half the game, he doesn't even get any new equipment. The cautery sword is, like, his best weapon for more than half the game. Taloon is kind of embarrassing, and if it weren't for his stealing abilities, which can get you some of the best equipment in the game, he'd easily be in C, D, or E tier. Alright, now we're talking about Maya. My girl, Maya, who's going to go, I'm going to say, oh, this is rough, below or above Ragnar. I think I'm going to have to say, oh, this is a tough one. This is rough. I'm going to have to say below Ragnar. Because the same reason as why Borya is below Alena, I'll explain in a second. But Maya is really just like your normal black mage. Just tons of damage, tons of useful abilities, tons of just straight up damage. Party clearer, like she's going to be doing all sorts of garbage. She's not quite as powerful as the hero still in terms of magic, in terms of doing damage, because Kazap is broken as frick. But she's still an amazing character. You should have her in your party. Also, best single target magic damage by Country Mile. Kafrizzle's amazing. And she just is always a good character to have in the party. She's going to clear the screen, but there is a reason that she's this low. And again, first of all, the hero's always going to have black magic. It's always good. The hero's always going to have that. Whereas Borya, the other black mage of the game, has buffing abilities that people cannot emulate for a long time in the game. So, all right, moving on to the hero. The hero is an S+ tier. This one's always hard for me to choose between Kiryl or the hero, but I think I want to have to go with Kiryl at the top. Here's the reason. The hero gets Omni Heal, the best black magic in the game, and the best equipment. But still, I don't think that can quite compare to having Kazing, to having Kabuff, and having Thwack. I just don't think the hero can quite compare to Kiryl. Just a smidgen below Kiryl, though, because the hero is by far the most balanced character in the game. Best healing, with the Omni Heal, the best spell in the game. Best healing, pretty solid attacks, best black magic. Come on, like, this guy's fantastic. Hero or girl? I don't know why we got. I played with the girl, so I probably should have put the girl hero on here instead of the guy, but whatever. Anyway, the hero is just really, really good. Yeah, it's just jack of all trades, master of pretty much everything except being Kiryl. So, all right. Last is the kind of spoiler character, but you probably have played this game since it's been out for a million years. And in the top of S tier is going to be Psaro. Here's the thing about Psaro. You get him in chapter 6. Whereas everyone else, you get for 2 chapters, whatever their chapter is, plus the final chapter. And Psaro, you get so late game that I really can't put him in S+ tier. But even still, I don't think I could quite say he's on the level of Kiryl and the hero. And also, he is the reason why these two, why the tier list doesn't look like this. Because really, once you get Psaro, he has oomph, he has Kasap, he has all of her good magic. He just has it all. He has the best stats in the game, for sure. He has the best damage in the game. Great healing, great reviving, all of that stuff. He doesn't have Omni Heal, and he doesn't have Kabuff, though, which are really the best spells in the game. And yeah, like, that really is what is holding him back from the S tier, as well as you have to grind if you want him to get his best stuff. You have to grind quite a bit for him to be fantastic. Also, he is the best metal slime killer in the game with his Hatchet Man ability. He has quite a few abilities that cause 0 MP, unlike every other character in the game. Probably because he was added decades later, when that was really a thing. Which I guess it was started at being a thing in Dragon Quest V, but that's the point. But anyway, Psaro's was a really good character. He isn't quite as good as Kiryl or the hero, in my opinion, because he's a late game character and he just lacks the 2 best spells in the game, and that really holds him back. But his magic damage is fantastic. His equipment is some of the best in the game. He's pretty much has the best stats, pretty unkillable. And yeah, the only reasons I'm saying these two, still, Alena is the best attacker in the game, and Ragnar is the best tank, whereas these guys do get pretty much outclassed after Psaro joins the party. So that is why I put them at the back. If Psaro wasn't here, then I would have the tier list looking like that, but that is not the case. So I am going to have it like this. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this tier list. It was a bit longer than I thought it was going to be, and there are a lot more characters in this game than some might remember. But yeah, here is the list. Really, in the end, there are some bad characters in this game. Some really good ones too, though. And yeah, you probably didn't expect Kiryl to be on top, but let me know down below your favorite characters in this game. Who do you think is the most powerful? I see a lot of people, most people are saying the hero or Psaro, but I see a couple people saying Alena here and there. Hero, Psaro, and Alena are usually what people say are at the top. So, do you agree with me on Kiryl, or do you think one of those other 3 or someone else is your favorite character? And do you think that Taloon should really be that low, and do you think that Meena should be that low? So let me know. Thank you all for watching this video, and have a fantastic day. Peace out, RPG nerds.
Thanks to my good man Chemo for being a patron. If you want tons of exclusive RPG content, join now as a patron today.